We have a good mix of silver, bronze, and copper on this week's Hot 10 Comics of the Week breakdown. We are back once again. What's going on, YouTube? I am your host, Lawrence, over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles, and like always, welcome back to the show. Today, of course, is another episode of the Hot 10 Comics of the Week breakdown, where I cover the 10 hottest comics according to the Key Collector app, and I break them down for you guys, letting you know which books I'm buying, and which books I'm staying away from, and which prices I'm buying them at. With that said, do me a solid, hit that sub button if you're not subbed to the channel already, smash the like button for me because it really does help the channel out, and lastly, let's get into this week's breakdown. Starting off the list, at number 10 this week is a copy of The Joker #1 and the first solo Joker titled series. And last week we had a CGC 9.6 selling for a whopping $546, up a stupid 28% over the average. Then we had a CGC 9.0 sale of $197, up 12% over the average. I tell you guys this, every time I see this book on the list, I remember way back when where I bought this book for $5, and that literally was about 4 years ago, so I can't see spending $500 and change to own a super high grade copy of this book. To me, it is just not worth it. You can still find this book for a deal, and if you do, that's when I'd be a buyer. Coming in at number 9 this week is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 361 and the first appearance of Carnage, spawned from the symbiote known as Venom. And last week we had a CGC 9.8 selling for $454, up a crazy 34% over the average. I have to ask you guys this right here, right now. Why is this book up 34% and a 9.8? It is a super common book. I think there are literally a million copies of this book out there, especially in 9.8. I'm not being serious about the million part, but with that said, you can own this book for super cheap if you just buy a nice high-grade raw copy. That's what I'd be doing. Other than that, I'm staying away. Sliding down to number 8 this week is a copy of Fantastic Four number 94 and the first appearance of Agatha Harkness, Franklin Richards' nanny, and the mentor to Scarlet Witch. And last week we had another CGC 7.5 selling for only $175, up 6% over the average. Then we had a CGC 5.5 sale, a nice mid-grade copy, selling for only $90, but up 17% over the average. I have to ask you guys this again, who is going out there and spending $200 on a 7.5 CGC copy of this one when you can go out and buy a raw copy for around $50? If you want to own that book, that's what I'd be doing. Other than that, I'm staying away. No reason to buy a graded copy of this one. Back on the list at number 7 this week is finally some Silver Age goodness. It is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 2 and the first appearance of the Vulture. But this is also the third appearance of Spider-Man. But not only that, a little tidbit here for all of you guys out there. This is the first cameo appearance of Mysterio disguised as the assistant of the Terrible Tinkerer. And last week we had a high grade CGC 7.5 selling for a whopping $7,500, but only up 2% over the average. Then we had a CGC 3.0 sale selling for $1,800, but again only up 3% over the average. Now this is a Silver Age key I can definitely get behind. There's no reason to own a 7.5 if you don't want to spend that kind of money, but around a 2 to 3.0, that's what I definitely be buying. You guys know I'm a big Silver Age Spider-Man collector. I do think those are some of the best comic books you can buy for the long term, so I'm giving this one a thumbs up. Coming in at the 6th spot this week is some more Spider-Man goodness. It is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 15 and the first appearance of Kraven the Hunter. And last week we had an insane CGC 9.6 selling for a whopping $19,800, but flat against the average. Then we had a CGC 5.0 sale for $937, up 4% over the average. You guys know I love me some Silver Age Spider-Man, but you don't need to spend $1,000 on this book. It is not an investment book, unfortunately, and I didn't want to buy this book for a very long time because of the Kraven movie that is coming out. If that movie is awful, this book will continue to go down, but if you're a big Spidey fan, it's a must-own in my opinion. You can find yourself a deal on one, I'd be all over it. Usually, I'm a buyer of this book no matter what, if I can get a deal on it. This is a Spider-Man list. At number 5 this week is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 33 and this iconic cover by Steve Ditko and the debut of Spider-Man's super strength. And last week, we had a CGC 8.5 selling for a crazy $750, up 24% over the average. Then we had a mid-grade CGC 4.0 sale, selling for $235, but again, up 19% over the average. Someone tell me why this book is on this list. I love this cover. I love this book. And you can still buy this one for around $200 in mid-grade. That to me makes it an automatic buy. Yes, I want to own this book. I'm a big Spider-Man fan. You know that. But even if you're not, for $200 for a Silver Age key, I'd be all over it. Moving up the list to number 4 this week is a copy of Incredible Hulk number 340 and this classic cover by Todd McFarlane. And last week we had a CGC 9.6 selling for $602, but up an insane 73% over the average. Then we had a CGC 9.4 sale for $350, but again, up a crazy 45% over the average. All of a sudden, this book is absolutely exploding, and I don't know why. Obviously, we got that scene from Deadpool and Wolverine, but it's been a month already that movie has been out. So why is someone paying crazy prices for this book when it's extremely common? Yes, I definitely want to own this one, but not for the prices that it's going for right now. Oh, I'm happy for all you Star Wars fans out there. At number 3 this week is a copy of Star Wars number 1 and the first appearance of most of the OG Star Wars characters. And last week we had a super high grade CGC 9.6 selling for $937, up 4% over the average. Then we had a CGC 9.0 sale selling for around $450, up 17% over the average. Me, you guys know I say it all the time, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but I do believe the book should be owned if you are one. If you're not a big Star Wars fan, I'd definitely be staying away, but I think a 9.0 for around $400, $450, which matches this last sale, I'd be all over it if I was a big Star Wars fan. 9.6, I'm not sure I'd want to spend that kind of money, and definitely in a 9.8, I'd be staying away. I don't see the value in that one. Back at the 2 spot this week is a copy of Marvel Superhero Secret Wars number 8 and the origin of the black symbiote costume. And last week we had a CGC 9.8 selling for $540, up only 8% over the average. So let me remind you right here, the first time this book was on the list about a month ago, it sold for $550, then a 9.8 for $600, then a 9.8 for $650, and all of a sudden we're back at $540. Definitely a lot of fluctuation with this book in a 9.8. That's why I'm saying stay away from it. For me, I just want to own this book in a raw form around a 9.0, 9.0 or higher if you can get a deal on it. Other than that, I'm staying away. And finally, at the top spot for the 3rd week in a row, it is a copy of Venom number 3 and the first appearance of Null, the creator of the alien symbiote race. And last week we had a CGC 9.8 selling for $320, but up an insane 52% over the average. Who is buying this book with the news that Null is coming to the MCU? I told you guys this last week. I think we're just going to get a glimpse of him in a post-credit scene in the Sonyverse. Then who knows what's going to happen from there. To me, I'm staying away from all modern books unless you can get them at a 9.8 and unless you can get them for an absolute steal. Hope you guys enjoyed another Hot 10 breakdown of the week. Again, a lot of great books on this list. Some of them I definitely want to jump at. Some of them I kind of wait for these prices to cool off. Other than that, it is now time for my best buy of the week. And to me, again, another easy one for me. I'm going with the best book on this list. It is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 2. Almost a trifecta in my opinion. First appearance of the Vulture, 3rd appearance of Spider-Man, and the first cameo appearance of Mysterio, which a lot of people did not know about. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics Collectibles saying thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.